Hi, you're listening to the Fresh Start Podcast, and this is episode number 16. Hello, friends. We are back here on the Fresh Start Podcast, where we talk about fresh starts in all things life and more than that sometimes.
Lots and lots more.
I'm Marsha Ramirez.
And I'm Stacy Wynn.
How are you today, Stacy?
I was telling you before we hit record that I have been in AI land today. As part of my work, I'm tasked with a project for the year just to understand how I can use AI more in my work. And so I've taken my passion project of interest, which is the IEQ-9 and assessment for emotional intelligence. And I've built some tools, kind of programmed some tools around that as a coach and facilitator I can use. So it helps me to be better about looking at the results for a particular team or person and kind of fine tune some of the details as I'm trying. I use it a lot as like a brainstorming assistant.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love it. I've been resistant to AI, and especially like in the music business, the way AI is taking over, like doing demos for people cheaper than you can hire real people to do it. There's a lot of, a lot of negativity in the creative world with AI, but I have a lot of friends that use it like you do. And I have another friend on the road, Julie, who's Chat GPT is like her best girlfriend. Anytime she's like, let me ask Chat. And she'll just get on there and, and like, she was like, Chat, what kind of tattoo should I get? And she's talked to Chat so much that Chat goes, well, what I know about you, Julie, is this and this and this and this. And so I think some suggestions for a good tattoo would be, and then, and she's like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. And I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah, it really is kind of weird.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been doing today. And my brain is kind of mushy.
Well,
how are you?
Mine's mushy too. Like, speaking of insane, I just had therapy today, and we were just talking about how we both have a good therapist on speed dial if we need them. I don't go all the time. For a while there, I was trying to go, whether I felt like I needed or not. I would go 1 month, I would have a meeting with my spiritual director, and the next month my therapist, and the next month my spiritual director, because they're both really helpful. And even times I think I don't need it. I think I'm good. You go in there and they start asking questions, and they start like picking around at your heart, and pretty soon, you're crying and you're going, well, I just do that because I want to be loved.
No. My therapist was so frustrating when I first started working with her. I was starting to date again. So this was like 5 years ago, post divorce, and not used to what it was like in a healthy relationship. So I was not being very vulnerable because I was still recovering from all of the trauma of that relationship. So I had a lot of work to do, and it was probably the most beneficial thing I could have done as I was starting to date, and ended up meeting this guy, and it's been just a beautiful sort of unfolding. But man, she was on me to express my feelings. And it was so frustrating because she would always ask me, how do you feel? And I would be like, I don't know.
You're like, I'm an Enneagram 8. I don't know.
I don't have feelings. So she really helped me to stretch that muscle a little bit. Thankfully, I think the world's a better place.
Man, yeah, no, we all have our issues that therapists can help us work on, and they're great. They're sometimes exhausting, the therapy sessions, but I'm a big believer in having a good therapist on speed dial because they don't mess around. They're not like talking to a girlfriend who's just going to comfort you and maybe
Hmm.
tell you what they think you want to hear. My therapist will hold my feet to the fire and say, "Mm-mm, no, ma'am."
No, man. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Well, we're all just trying to grow. We're all trying to be better people, except for
yes,
maybe except for maybe one person
right.
that's running the country.
We're trying to be our best selves in a world that's just on fire right
Shit,
now.
I know.
Speaking of which, that podcast that we recorded with Melissa,
Oh,
I continue to get feedback almost daily about that conversation and how helpful it was.
I can always count on Melissa to bring nuance to almost any subject. She like digs into the heart of the matter. She's not inflammatory and she's so freaking smart and she does her
Mm-hmm.
work and she's just yeah, she's amazing. She's well, we're going to have her on again real soon because I love hearing the way her brain works about things going on because she's fair. She's just
Mm-hmm.
fair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she, like I said, she always brings in the nuance, which is so lost. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no nuance on social media for sure. It's either one way or the other, black or white.
Yeah.
People are not, posting gray things. They're posting
Mm-mm.
this and this and this. And so, yeah, I think I've had a lot of good feedback on that episode too, and I think it's because people appreciate that nuance that they're not
Mm-hmm.
getting in other places like social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important to just find people that you can have conversations with, even if you have different viewpoints, just being able to share and listen at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a skill that is really lacking just in general now. And I see it in the corporate world and I see it in my personal life. And that's really, I think, what, speaking of having no feelings, I do. I have a heart and it's really broken over this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Well, what else is happening? It's October.
October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And
Yeah.
actually, our guest that we're going to introduce here in just a minute has that's part of his story. His wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I just emceed an event raising money for breast cancer that was so beautiful. And I learned so much. 1 in 8 women in America are diagnosed with breast cancer. It's crazy. And I just saw something on Good Morning America that there's this very aggressive form of breast cancer that's starting to be diagnosed
Mm,
more and more. The research, has helped a lot. It used to be a death sentence. Like
yeah.
I remember in college, one of my professor's wives was diagnosed and she was gone in no time. Like there was nothing to stop it. And
Mm-hmm.
thank God for science and
Mm.
research and, medicine that has,
Vaccines.
yeah, yeah, vaccines. Did you see, speaking of vaccines, did you see that like 8 or 9 all the previous surgeons general all came
Yes.
together and with one voice and they said we feel like we have to all come out. These are surgeons generals under both Democratic and Republican leaders, and they're saying what RFK is doing is a danger to our society.
Mm-hmm. I
And
did
I
see that.
I was so glad to see them all speak out.
Yeah. And I like that it is one voice from all sides.
Hmm.
And I think when I saw that today, it was coupled with some statistics speaking of cancer on cervical cancer
Yeah.
and how drastically that form of cancer has declined due to vaccine. So I it's just such a stark contrast to some of
Mhm.
what we're hearing out in the media and the political realm. Meanwhile, we have real science that backs up answers and backs up these experiences and this knowledge that we have. And it's almost like we're being asked just to shove that in a closet somewhere and just not look at it anymore. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it really is. I
Mm.
I don't know. I fear all the damage that's been done just in 10 months under this administration. I don't know how we're going to survive another 3 years of it, but
People tell me we will, and I like having those people around because,
okay.
like
Can
you,
you send those people my way?
I do need to hear that periodically.
I
It's going to
know.
be okay. We will make it. And I don't know that to be true, of course, but I really do believe that there are so many people out there that really truly want to live in a free country.
I think you're right. I absolutely
Mhm.
right. And it is sort of we have to just have a positive mindset about it, not let it get us down. And that's what our guest today is going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Author DK Kang is with us, and he wrote a book that's called The Mindset Metamorphosis, a practical and transformative guide in mastering your mind for growth and success. And he isn't just, you know, spouting out stuff. He lived through a really difficult time that he'll tell you about and took the practical tools that helped him turn all his setbacks into fuel for health and healing and personal growth. And so um, he's a very interesting and positive guy, and that we all need.
Yeah. He's one of those people who is, he's like type A, he
Yeah,
makes a decision and he is just continuing down that path with
yeah,
routines and research and stamina and commitment and discipline and all of those things. And I think it's helpful to hear that we may not all be wired to that extent, but I think we can take some uh, reminders away that there are some practical things that we can do and continue doing over time that benefit our lives.
yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna take a short break here, and but we'll be back, and we're gonna talk to author DK Kang, who's a wellness advocate. He helps people build strength physically, mentally, and spiritually through discipline and daily action. And I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So we're glad you guys are here, and y'all stick around for this conversation with author DK Kang. Welcome, DK. How are you doing? How is this day finding you down there in Dallas, Texas?
I'm doing well. It's warm here, so yeah, I can't complain.
I know I saw a meme the other day that said, "I'm so excited that fall is here and we have our crisp 90-degree days instead of
That's exactly
human 96
what
degree
it's
days."
like.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
pretty hot still here in the South. Stacy's down in Florida. I'm in Tennessee, so we all are kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, it was 62 degrees this morning, though,
No
Marcia. That was
way. In
perfect.
Florida?
Wow.
Absolutely lovely.
That's awesome. Well, we love the topics surrounding your book, and we're going to get into some of those topics in a minute. But you have an amazing story, and we want to hear a little bit about your story and, how that story brought about the writing of this book.
Yeah, so about 10 to 12 years now, my wife and I have dealt with infertility. So I mean, your guys' podcast is about a fresh start. Uh,
Hmm.
we dealt with that, but at the same time, my wife went through a lot of health challenges through that time. I mean, I go pretty deep in another podcast called 6 Weeks to Fitness. She had ended up having endometriosis, and
Mm.
so she ended up getting a total hysterectomy. And so that kind of sealed our fate from actually having children.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of had to start fresh again from that dream of trying to have children, having a new dream. All right, what do we do now, knowing that we can't physically have children? So then we started fresh. We're like, okay, well, let's try maybe looking into adoption. Then my wife's health spiraled even down further. So we were like, well, okay, adoption's out of the picture because she had multiple surgeries with the endometriosis. But then in 2023, at the end of about December, so the end of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
my wife is going to the doctor, normal checkup, and doctor finds this lump on her breast. And they're like, "Oh, you need to go check this out now because from last time I saw you, this lump was not here and it's significantly pretty big." And so we end up getting a biopsy done. Results come back saying it's breast cancer. At this time, it's like January of 2024. So this is when we get the news. And then doctors are like, all right, we need to start treatment immediately because this is an aggressive cancer that you have. It was HER2 positive,
Mm-hmm.
stage 2. And then February of 2024 comes around. And I'm reading this book called The Breast Cancer Husband. And it's basically talking about as a husband, your wife is going through an emotional roller coaster with cancer. I mean, when you hear the word cancer, your world is shaken. And basically, the book is talking about, hey, just be there for your wife as a husband. And then, as I'm finishing this book, it says to let your employer know what's going on, that you need more of a flexible work schedule. And so, for me, I was really reluctant about telling my employer that. But like February 1st, I told them, hey, I need a flexible work schedule. My wife has cancer. I need to be there for her appointments, to
Mm-hmm.
drive her, things like that. And then they said, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. And then a week after I disclosed that, they laid me off. And at
Wow.
this point, my wife is not, she's already quit work because of her treatments. Her treatment was a year-long process. And so both of us don't have any income for the entire year from February to end of November of that same year of 2024.
Wow.
Mm.
And there was a point where I didn't have health insurance. And so she started her first chemo treatment and it was $80,000 for one
Ah.
chemo.
Oh my gosh.
She had to do 12 plus MRIs, plus radiation, plus surgeries. I mean, we ended up calling a lot of people, like different insurances. Luckily, it kicked over.
Mm-hmm.
But for me and us, that's kind of our story. Since I got laid off, that was kind of where I started to kind of figure out like, well, I don't really have anything to do at the moment besides taking my wife to treatments. So, like, as I'm journaling, I'm thinking, well, I'm pretty sure there's other people that are out there because for me, I felt stressed, overwhelmed. I
Of
felt,
course. Yeah.
just feeling stuck and not knowing what the next step is to do besides to be there for my wife. And
Mm-hmm.
so like hey, I have a lot of time. I just started writing and then it just kind of came to me, maybe I should put this journaling into a book for someone else to help. And so to kind of shift that mindset. And so it's kind of funny because for us, when I got the news, when I got laid off, I came home from work that day. And so faith is a big part of my wife and I. My wife and I, we prayed, but we didn't ask the question, why us? And I talk about this in my book about reframing.
Yeah.
And we reframed it to why not us?
Mm-hmm.
And how can maybe this might help somebody else down the line? Someone in the future that may be dealing with cancer and a job loss or just being stuck and overwhelmed. And so that's kind of how I had to reframe it. And then I don't know. For me, I just started busting out laughing because it almost seemed like it was like a drama show or like you see on movies or TV or something like that. I was like, all right, God, like this is completely like strange and weird, but we're like, okay, like why not us? We're gonna get through this. We can and we will heal from cancer. And that was kind of our mindset shift that we had to really think about. Because I think the question always goes to why me? Why am I going through this?
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of lessons in that,
Yeah.
so that's kind of where my story kind of started with the book. And the book is just really to kind of help people to kind of start small and start building habits, to start taking action for their life. Because for us, we're reading this book called Chris Beat Cancer.
Mm.
And the book basically is Chris. He was like in his 20s. He got stage 3 colon cancer, and he was advised to get surgery, do chemotherapy, basically do what the doctors tell him. But he took ownership of his cancer, and he started diving deep into nutrition, what other people has done to heal from cancer. And so, we're like, we have cancer. He has cancer. He's beaten it through nutrition and just some other mindful techniques, changing the mindset. And so, yeah, we took ownership of our own cancer and we started taking action for what we needed to do instead of just saying, hey, doctors, here we are. Do your thing, doctors. So,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Take us a little bit deeper into those moments, because I imagine that a lot of things were going through your mind at the time, and you were sort of piecing together these new possibilities and things you might try. So, in creating that fresh start, you didn't really know the outcome, but you took steps toward what felt like the right next thing. So, can you describe what that was like for you?
yeah, I mean, there's things that we would be reading, things about like broccoli sprouts. Books we're talking about grow your own broccoli sprouts because broccoli sprouts has 10 times more cancer fighting compounds than regular broccoli. And so we started incorporating it into our salads, our smoothies, and just taking like the small steps. There was another book that talked about juicing and about how using carrot juice for the beta carotene to kind of help reduce the cancer. And so we got a juice machine. We started juicing, and I don't. For me, it was kind of like I'm kind of a action oriented kind of person. So I mean, I've done martial arts all my life. I've done multiple Spartan races. I've done a 50K, and when you're doing like these physical activities, you can't just sit back and say like, "Oh, I'm gonna become a black belt and not do anything about it. Oh, I'm gonna run a 50K and not do anything about it." Like you have to put in the training, you have to put in the hours.
Okay, wait a minute. Have you run a 50K?
Yes, I have.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
50K Spartan Ultra, so it's 50K plus 60 obstacles. Um,
Oh my goodness.
So I talk about that in another podcast. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
things happen to me that,
Yeah.
but it's really a mindset because when I
Yeah.
was running that 50K, there was like a lot of people saying, "Hey, this is too hard," saying out loud, "I'm not going to finish this race." And the Bible talks about finishing the race as if you were going to get the prize. And so as I'm passing these people, it's a 50% fail rate. And so these people are saying, I can't finish this. This is too hard. But for me, I kept saying, I keep going, keep going. I can and I will finish this race.
Mhm.
And if I started saying those things, I feel like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you start thinking these things and saying them out loud, well, that becomes your future. My wife and I could easily have been, well, we have cancer. This is the end of the line, and there's no hope left. But for us, we're like, well, why not us? And we can and we will beat this cancer. We will heal from it. And it's funny, like even today, my wife and I, we had a doctor's appointment today because she has to do surveillance for the next 2 years because her cancer was so aggressive.
Yeah.
And her doctor was literally like, wow, you look amazing. Whatever you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. Like you are the best looking patient that I've seen in a long time. And like my wife, her doctor, they were like tearing up, they were hugging. I was like, wow, like we're doing something right. So reading all those books, it really helped us. And
Oh,
that's for us to take that action.
that's really beautiful. That's beautiful. Clearly, you have had already had a past history of knowing that like physical health is important and that mattered to you, right? And you've already said your faith is important, so we know your spiritual health is something you work on. And then the mental thing, right? So like all three matter to feel whole and healthy, right? So the mind body connection, like what your mind can do with your body. I'm sure as you were researching this book that was what you were kind of getting into. Can we talk a little bit about that, about how powerful the mind is with working with your physical body?
Yeah. For me, like I said, I've done martial arts for 34 years, so 30 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been a mind-body connection with martial arts. There's a lot of meditation, breath work, uh, to kind of center yourself, to be present in the moment. And with martial arts, like when you're sparring, I don't know if you guys know what sparring is, but
Yeah.
basically two people going at each other with gloves, kind of padded, kind of in a safe environment, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when someone's trying to punch you in the face or kick you in the face, most people want to run away. And that's the same with life, right? Metaphorically,
Right.
when those punches or kicks, those challenges, those storms come into your life. The Bible talks about in this world you will have trouble. And Jesus says, but take heart, I have overcome the world. We're all going to have trouble, whether we like it or not. But it's how do we respond to that? How do we react when you get a cancer diagnosis? Do you just do nothing and continue to live the life you're living and continue to eat the way you're eating? Or are you going to do something, take action for it? And it's the same with martial arts. When someone's trying to kick you in the face, what do you do? Do you run away? Do you try to go the opposite direction? Or do you face it head on? Do you block it? Do you counter it? Do you kick or punch before they do? And so, it's that same kind of mentality. And, like I said before, when you're saying something out loud or even thinking it, like limiting beliefs,
Mm.
you're stuck in that moment. You're stuck and you feel like you can't move forward. You
Mm-hmm.
just want to run away from the situation. And for us, we had to reframe a lot of what we're going through. I mean,
Yeah.
with no income for 9, 10 months or whatever, I mean, we still racked up $60,000 in debt for medical bills, living expenses. I mean, that we're still trying to pay off till this day. But, for us, we're not just going to sit back and like, oh, throw a pity party and be like, woe is us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go take action and do something about it. And so, yeah, but going back to the mind body connection, just tips on using mindfulness, tips on breath work, journaling. Those are helpful tips that I talk about in my book and how to start them. I talk about how to start doing these things and starting small.
Mm.
As you've encountered people who have read your book, I saw you have some reviews out there. What are some unexpected ways that you see people using the information, or maybe, those good surprises that you see as people are trying some of what you've suggested?
I had a reader tell me about, I talk about this in my book as well about sleep habits, like start winding down. Because when we have like the blue light from our phones, from our laptops, it triggers our brain to continue to like stay awake and continue to think about, okay, what tasks I haven't done or things like that. And so I talk about in my book about using like a winding down time. And so I had a reader tell me that the sleep winding down part helped them in a major way to kind of decompress for the day and shut off like all electronics an hour before they actually go to bed. And they said that it really helped them to get better sleep, like better quality sleep and sleeping longer and not waking up in the middle of the night because of the blue screens. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that was kind of a unique. I wasn't really thinking about that, but I'm like, oh well, that's awesome that you're getting better sleep because we all need sleep. We're going to spend a third of our life sleeping, so sleep is great.
Hey friends, we're taking a short break from our conversation to ask you a favor. If you are enjoying our podcast, we would really love it if you could take just a moment to share, like, rate, and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on right now. It would help us so much so that we can grow and keep creating this content for you guys. Also, please find us on Instagram, join our Facebook group, and follow us on our YouTube channel. All the links are in our show notes for you, so check those out. Thanks for being great listeners, and please let us know about any guests or topics you'd like us to dive into here. We want to include you in this conversation too. You can email us at freshstartpod2025@gmail.com or message us on our social platforms. And now, back to our conversation. So you talk a lot about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. We've talked a lot about that on this show too, about, when you get so rigid in your beliefs and you think you know everything, whether it's everything about your religion, everything about your health, everything about, or whatever, there's just no room for learning and for growing and for new understanding. And even just like you were talking about with clearly you went to a medical doctor and you followed some scientific advice, the science, but you also researched holistic things. You did things, you combined those two rather than just one or the other. Is that correct? It sounds like that's what you did.
That is correct.
And so, to me, that's just an example of like a growth mindset. You're like, okay, I'm going to learn more about this and how I can help myself. But can you talk a little bit more about, how do you come out of a fixed mindset and into a growth mindset?
Honestly, you have to want to continue to learn. Give you an example. I remember doing martial arts. My instructor told me, like, I'm like already like a black belt at this time. And my instructor says, every time you walk in that door, you are a white belt. And I'm thinking, I'm like, well, like, what do you mean I'm a white belt? Like, can't you clearly see I'm a black belt? But he really meant changing that mind. Every time I walk in, being humble, saying, I don't know everything. Yes, I am a black belt, but that mindset of, okay, I want to continue to learn.
Mhm.
And so that really stuck with me for a long time, and it still does to this day. Reading books is a great way to get out of that fixed mindset. Attending seminars, webinars about personal development, whether it be your finances, going back to school. I'm also a licensed massage therapist. I went to school for that. What I do is I help athletes recover and performance with that. But I also went to school for HVAC. So learning more about like nutrition because I'm reading books. And so that's part of that growth mindset is you're never too old. And once you think you know everything, I
Yeah.
mean, that's just pride and ego, and
Yeah.
pride comes before the downfall, is what I've always heard, especially in martial arts. If
Yeah.
you're prideful and egotistical, I mean, someone is out there that's better than you are. There's someone out there that has more knowledge. I mean, if you look at Bill Gates, look at Warren Buffett, they're constantly reading a book, and they're multimillionaires, and they're
Right.
reading like they still have that growth mindset. And so, yeah, I mean, reading books is a great starting point.
Good.
That's
That's
awesome.
good. And you mentioned people that you called when things, were going wrong with the health diagnosis and losing your job in the midst of that and having bills and payments looming and you called people to help. Can you talk about support systems and why they're so important? But I also know I talk to people all the time who don't even know their neighbors. What can we do if we need to kind of slow down and be more present around that and reconnect with people to build that kind of a support system?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, faith is a big part. So, I mean, we had our church family. I mean, we didn't technically like talk to them. They just was like, we know you have a cancer diagnosis. We know you lost your job. And we just got random donations from our friends and their friends. And I mean, we were like, wow, like, but over time we've built those relationships. And I mean, a support system is huge. Whether you're going through a mental health issue, seek professional help, seek, church members, seek your friends. We're not meant to do this alone. I mean, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the Bible, I mean, Adam was alone and then Eve was formed to be a helper for him. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just ego if we think we can do this by ourselves. For me, I needed support from doctors. I needed support from books I was reading, going into like communities, like Facebook communities, and saying, "Hey, my wife has cancer and I've lost my job. Anyone else can relate to this." And whether it be some encouragement or some feedback, or "Hey, I read this book. You should read this book too." We read so many other books like How to Starve Cancer, Beating Cancer with Nutrition. And these were like recommendations by other people. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you can do it, building that community, whatever you're going through. And
Hmm.
community is super important.
Yeah, I'm actually emceeing a breast cancer fundraiser next. Of course, October's coming up. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And there is a nonprofit here called Breast Cancer Recovery in Action, and they raise money
I
to
like it.
help. Are you familiar with BRA?
But I like it. I like the acronym and I like the name. It's
Yeah,
cool.
and they took out the C because they don't want to be defined by cancer, so it's just BRA. And they provide, I mean, they have podcasts where they bring in doctors from Vanderbilt to talk about diet. They talk about mindfulness. They talk about the mental aspect. They have emotional wellness seminars where they can all come together. I mean, one woman was saying that it wasn't until she got into the emotional wellness seminar where she learned that it was okay to name that what she was going through was awful, that she was angry about it, she was awful, because she said she was so busy trying to make everyone around her feel comfortable about it, but having this support system of women that she could just say what she wanted to say and they knew what she was going through, it was so incredibly helpful. And so yeah, that community, I can imagine,
Yeah.
was so powerful for you guys to have your church family just come over and go, we don't even need the details, but we're praying for you and we're here for you and we're going to bring you a meal and we're going to help you through this time. That's amazing. But I do want to talk with just a second. I grew up as a Christian. I'm still Christian. And Stacy and I have just found qigong. We love to do like tai chi and qigong yoga and stuff, and it's amazing what that can do. But you know, I was brought up like a lot of those terms like mindfulness or meditation or yoga was not something that we were encouraged to do as Christians. They were sort of like, can you take away the stigma of that a little bit maybe for somebody that's listening?
I mean, what's wrong with yoga and Tai Chi?
Hey, we're all on the same
We're
page
in the
here.
same
But
page. But we were told it was, no, you can't do that kind of stuff. Have you never heard that before?
I mean, for so I grew up in the 90s. So I'm 39. So my stigma was yoga is for women.
Oh, goodness.
Well, and I grew up in Missouri though, like middle of nowhere,
Right, right.
small town. But I was doing yoga at, like when I was like a teenager, even a young teenager. And people would make fun of me, like, guys at the gym, like, why are you doing yoga? Like that's like for sissies, that's for girls. I'm like, all
Ah,
right, you that weighs, I don't know, 180 pounds is all muscle. Tell me that you can, with your flexibility, that you can hold this pose for even 15 seconds. Let me know if you can even do that.
yeah.
A lot of sheer athleticism, flexibility, and strength. I mean, martial arts has to do with a lot of that too. And I mean, I think yoga is great. I think everyone should do it. There's breath work, there's mindfulness, there's slowing down, there's being still. I mean, the Bible talks about be still and know that I'm God.
Yeah.
We live in so much of a fast-paced world where
Hmm.
we're scrolling on social media, there's news, notifications. I need to check my emails. I mean, yoga is so good to just be still and get a good sweat, get a good workout in.
Yeah.
Whatever stigma is out there, like for me, I've always been that kind of that weird kid that goes against the grain. There's so many benefits to yoga,
Yeah.
Tai Chi as well. It's very slow movements.
Hmm.
It's it's basically knowing your body. It's knowing your mind. And I mean, whatever stigma's out there, who cares?
Yeah, okay.
If it makes you feel good, keep doing it, you know.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. But
that's
even
good.
just meditation, did you hear that? Like when I was like, they were like, meditation is like Eastern religion and it's not based in Christianity and stuff. And it's all over the Bible, right? They tell you
And
to,
then you have prayer right beside that. You're like, well, what is that
well,
exactly?
I
I
think it
mean,
says meditate on the word, right?
Right.
day and night.
You day and night.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
what
so
does that mean?
strange.
I mean, well, Christianity technically is from the East,
Yeah,
right?
well, that's true too.
Yes.
We as Westerners has
Yeah, I know.
diluted it.
That's
So,
true. That's very true.
I mean, who says that meditation is only an Eastern philosophy?
Well, that's what I was taught growing up in Southern Baptist world in
Go
Southwest
read the
Arkansas.
Bible. Go read the Bible. It's in there. It's really in there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, oh gosh, there's just so much good stuff. I mean, just mindfulness. Let's just say this. How would you define the word mindfulness? What does that encompass?
I think for me is to slow down, to really think about your breath, to really think about what you're eating. A lot of times, breathing is an automatic thing, but you can also control it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, same thing with eating. How many times are we eating on the go, eating in the car while we're driving, getting fast food, eating at our desk while working? When's the last time we actually sat back, looked at our food, thanked the hands that made it, and slowly eat our food? Chew 20 times and actually let your mouth feel the flavors, the textures. And when you chew 20 times, I mean that takes action to do that. That's really hard to do because we chew like 2 times and swallow it.
Yeah.
But that hurts our digestive system because it needs to break down those foods even further down instead of actually like chewing it where it's like almost like just completely gone in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the gut. And I actually have another book called the Kimchi Connection Cookbook. It's about gut health connection and how fermented foods help with your gut. But if you look at your gut, there's about 70% of your immune system sits in your gut. And so I think mindfulness is just slowing down and being present in that moment.
Hmm, I love that. All right. Well, if someone is out there listening and they hear all of these great ideas that you have and they're looking at what they want to do ahead of them, what's one way, one idea, one strategy that you can leave for them to take that first step?
I would say start small. Um, I think about, because I've done, Spartan races and I've done martial arts. So many people are overwhelmed with, I got to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, and the whole alphabet. Like, oh, I don't know where to start. But just start somewhere. Let's say you want to get better in your fitness. You want to lose, I don't know, 10 pounds or something. I'm just throwing something out there. And you don't know how to start. Let's just say you make coffee every single day. That's part of your habit. And let's say you're old school, you brew it and it takes 2 minutes to brew your coffee. Well, during that 2 minute time frame, instead of scrolling on your phone and your goal is to lose 10 pounds, why don't you just knock out some push-ups during that 2 minutes? This is called habit stacking. And I talk about this in my book. And if you look at however many push-ups you're going to do at the end of the year, that's like almost probably 1,000 push-ups if you do 10 push-ups a day just while your coffee's brewing.
Wow.
Same thing with you just want to add more steps to in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first step, just put your shoes on. That's it for the day. That's a win. Celebrate it. Say, hey, I got my shoes on. All right, tomorrow, just walk to the mailbox and back, and then take off your shoes. That's 2 wins in 2 days. And it's starting small. And then before you know it, you're going to be walking an entire mile if you just keep doing that every single day. Be consistent and start small.
Awesome.
Great.
Good advice.
Well, from one potentially problematic kind of practice to another. We believe in the Enneagram here, no matter what other people say. So I do coach with the Enneagram, and with each of our podcasts, we provide some prompts to listeners. And as I was thinking about today's prompts, this episode's prompts, there's so much in common with what you're talking about in the Enneagram, that integration of mind and emotion and action. So we're going to talk about each of those in one simple idea. And then, of course, DK, if you want to throw anything in, you certainly can. So first is thinking, and that's the intellectual exploration. And this is to notice the thoughts that we're having when we experience a setback. So the prompt might be to ask, what story are we telling ourselves about this challenge? Are our perspectives limited? Can we open up to new possibilities? And in the emotional connection or feeling center, pausing and checking in with our emotions. What emotions are we experiencing right now? And how can we carry more than one emotion? Like, let's think about how that feels and the freedom that we have to carry more than one emotion at the same time. And finally, the action and application. Let's consciously reframe our responses and actually, move that into action. So what action could embody both self-compassion and courage as we begin again? How can we use our strengths, our values, our faith, our wellness practice? How can we use those things to move forward and take one step ahead? As you hear those, is there anything you'd like to add, Marsha or DK?
Those are some great steps just for people to think about. And, like you talk about reframing, and I know you talk about that a lot in your book too, about reframing your situation. And I like what you said too about holding two emotions at the same time. Like you can be scared and hopeful at the same time, right? Yeah, those are good, Stacy.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that we can hold two emotions at the same time. We're human beings. We're not robots.
Right.
We have complex emotions. We can have anger, joy, all at the same time. But I think what do we do with that
Mm-hmm.
if we're angry at something or someone or whatever? And yeah, I mean, I think it's just great. And, thinking is so powerful. Like we're our own worst critic because a lot of times we don't say what we want to say or put it on paper or what we're thinking.
Right.
And I think journaling goes great with thinking because sometimes there's so many thoughts in your head. And if you just write it down, like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and this is why I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's just,
Journaling is one of those cool things that is
yeah,
thinking, it's feeling, and it's also, if we do it by hand, which
yeah,
is the best way to journal, it's also action.
yeah. So yeah, it's very therapeutic because for me,
Mhm.
I've experienced that. And if you haven't journaled before, yeah, definitely journal. So
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think you're very inspiring to take, what you're going through and saying, all right, this is really, really hard, but I'm going to take what I have learned and the gifts that I have as a writer, and I'm going to put those out there and I'm going to share them with the world and try to help other people and give them maybe the tools that you wish you had when you were going through it. So thank you so much. I think it's a beautiful book. Y'all, the book is called Mindset Metamorphosis by DK Kang. And if you want to learn about kimchi, you can also get his cookbook. I was actually looking at that today, and I wasn't familiar about kimchi, but I think I might try to put a little of that into my diet. And that book's called The Kimchi Connection Cookbook. So that's awesome. And I'm so happy that your wife is doing well. And I will be praying that she continues to do so. So thanks again for joining us today, DK Kang.
thank you.
He is full of energy and commitment. Like he has his eye on the prize.
He does. And I'm as an Enneagram 9 who, sloth is my sin. So
Yeah, I hate that
I
word.
know, I hate it too.
Don't use it.
not sloth.
It's not sin.
But no, I do. We are the lowest energy. I think we have low energy on. We have to
Mhm.
sort of force ourselves to get out and do things. And so having people like DK is inspiring for me. It's like, yeah, let's get out and move it and shake it and tackle problems head on. And so yeah, we're
Yeah.
glad
And
DK.
what an example of a great partner
Yeah,
in life
I
that
know he was
he
so
is to his wife.
very supportive. I know. So thanks, DK, for joining us today. Before we let you guys go, I just want to mention a couple of things with God and My Girlfriend's Ministries, who does, um, uh,
Sponsor?
yeah, sponsor this podcast. Thank you so much, Stacy. Um, my brain went wacko. Um, we have a book club for all you book nerds that are out there. We are doing a book club this fall on Wednesday nights, starting the first week of November. And we'll meet for 6 weeks. And we are reading the amazing book together, Sue Monk Kids, The Dance of the Dissonant Daughter. Stacy and I are actually reading it together right now in another book club. And I got halfway through it and I said, we have to read this in a God and My Girlfriend's book
Mhm.
club.
Yep.
Also, because we have a retreat coming up and at the end of January that we'll be announcing very, very soon. And there will probably be some mention of this book at the retreat and some themes from the book. So if you are considering coming to the retreat, you ought to sign up for the book club too. And you'll meet some people that'll probably be at the retreat. You'll meet them online. And anyway, all the information is at godandmygirlfriendsministries.org. You can go to the online book club tab or the upcoming events and find retreats. All that stuff is there. But we'd love for you guys to join us and on one or both of those things. They're going to be fun.
Mhm.
They're going to be lots
Yeah,
of fun.
it's such a great book. The subtitle is A Woman's Journey from Christian Tradition to the Sacred Feminine.
I like it. I like
I
it a
do too.
lot. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for listening today. And we're coming back next week. We're gonna not skip a week because we've got another really great episode that I want to get out with my pastor, Josh Scott, here in Nashville, Tennessee, and he brings some great words of wisdom to how to approach things today in this crazy world. Brings some common sense and some inspiration. And I really, really, we loved our conversation with Josh.
Yeah, it was great.
And so y'all don't want to miss that. So, not 2 weeks, in 1 week, we'll be back with the Fresh Start podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great
See you next time.
Bye. This episode has been brought to you by God and My Girlfriend's Ministries. If you're looking for a faith-based community where everyone is accepted, all beliefs are welcome, and no judgment, check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org, where you can find more information about our book clubs, both online and in person, upcoming retreats, and all the events in your area. You can also find out about one of our favorite things that we do, our Single Moms Christmas Blessing Ministry. So go check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org. We would love to have you a part of our community.